Morning monsters, well welcome to the first and hopefully the last lockdown monster video. I say the last because hopefully in a month's time we'll be out there fishing again, but who knows. It's a funny old one, isn't it, not being able to fish in the spring, but for people like me who are, what do we call them, slightly older, it's just a trip down memory lane really, because this used to be the situation every year. It's shut in March and it started on June the 16th. So that's what I've sort of put my head into. I've thought as long as I'm fishing by June the 15th, June the 16th, then it's just like the old close season really. You know, you need some sort of mindset for getting through that, and that's what I've decided to do. Obviously there's plenty to do, isn't there? I mean, what we used to do in the close season was literally strip all your tackle down, oil all your reels, clean out your rod bag, clean, you know, your tackle bag. That's something that's desperate. Always, if it's anything like mine, it's always in need of a clean. I just unzip the whole lot, get a table, put a bit of newspaper out. You know, I've got one of these big zip up bags, unzip the lot and just turn it upside down. And it's unbelievable what falls out of there. I mean, the amount of old hooks and swivels and beads and bits of line and half-used rigs, it's just a complete mess, you know, bits of old mouldy bait and all sorts in there. So that passes a few hours, you know, tidying all that up, tying a few new rigs, spooling up the reels. That's the main one, isn't it? You know, at the end of every season, because that is the thing where we were a little bit fortunate. For most of us, where the lockdown started, we were in a sort of transition period. We were coming out of the winter. It hadn't really got round to that sort of glorious April time, not quite. Most tickets nowadays, like the first day of the season in today's world, is usually April the 1st. That's when the tickets start. And it sort of all happened before that. So it wouldn't, I mean, imagine if you were halfway through something, you know, you're on your lake, you're catching. Imagine if it was like sort of in June or July and suddenly they said you can't go anymore. I think we'd feel a lot more disappointed, a lot more gutted if that had happened, if it was mid-fishing. But as it was in that transitional period. So I hadn't started getting ready that, you know, that in that much detail really for my new water. I'd done a few bits and pieces that I showed you before. But spooling up your line, you know, that's something you always do at this time of year, like strip off the old manky stuff and put some new stuff on. Now I'm a braid user. I'm quite a serial braid user. I love braid. I'm not a great fan of mono. I know a lot of lakes you're not allowed to use braid, so you have to use mono or fluorocarbon. But I thought I'd show you, I did a little feature the other day for a magazine on why I like braid. I do a lot of big pit fishing, I do a lot of range fishing, boat fishing, and even if I'm casting, quite often these big pits are quite snaggy, and I fish up against or close to snags quite a lot. And the difference between mono and braid for snag fishing is it's a gulf, you know, it's immense, absolutely immense. So what I done on the field out the back, I shot this sort of photographic feature for a magazine, but I got the missus to video it as well. So I'm going to show you that first, just to explain exactly what I mean about, you know, thinking about what line you're putting on your reel, where you're going to be fishing, and whether braid or mono is the correct choice for you. Perfect. Right. And we'll get about 60 yards. We'll go 40 yards. The idea is, I've done this test before, it's quite revealing, is to show the difference in stretch when you're snag fishing over braid and mono. So I use the marker where the leads, I've got both leads here, one braid, one mono. I'm going to pull the braid and then put a marker at the end of the stretch. measure it, and then I'm going to pull the mono and put a marker at the end of that stretch just to show how much safer it is using braid up against snags, weed beds, etc, etc. So let's crack on. Right, braid. Wait for that rod to catapult off the rests. Well, you do get some stretch, but that ain't a lot. Over 40 yards roughly paced out. We got 400mm, 16 inches. 16 inches of stretch on braid at 40 yards. Right, here we go for the mono. 15-pound mono. We had 16 inches on the braid, prepared to be amazed. Long way. There was actually still some stretch in that one, quite a lot. But I've done it to what would be semi-believable, but still a lot to go. And that's 7.5 metres. Which is 296 inches. Which is a lot. I'd do it to you in yards if I could, but the mathematics head isn't on at the moment. 7.5 metres, a long way. So as you can see, it's a vast difference between the stretch in the mono and the stretch in the, well, the no stretch in the braid, and that's why I always choose braid. If I'm fishing up against snags, that's what I'm going to be using, because I want to know I've got the control, and when I hook into that fish, he can't take another 5, 6, 7, 8 yards of line against me. You know, they can still take that out of the stretch. So yeah, that's why I'm a braid user. What else have I been doing with my time in this enforced closed season? I've built this, my little studio, if you like. We're actually up in the attic of my garage. Now you may have seen all of this before. You may be used to seeing me sitting here chatting to this. I've done a series of, I think we're up to number 12 at the moment. I'm doing 13 tomorrow, of sort of 1 hour YouTube video blogs, whatever you want to call them, going back through my old book, An Obsession with Carp. And like I say, you may have seen them. If you haven't, they're easy enough to link. They're on YouTube under my name, or they're on my Facebook. There's a link to them there. I say there's loads of them. So if you are really bored, that's something for you to watch. But going back to, you know, where we are, if we do get fishing by June, I mean, it's not the end of the world. You know, it used to be June 16th, the glorious 16th. It just used to be such an event to get back on the lakes after the spring layoff. And I've had some blinding captures in June. Absolutely, it's a very, very, very good month for me. I mean, I had Burfield Common in June. I've had some, you know, I had Colin in June, St Ives. I've had some big fish in June, and not always after a close season. And both of those I've just mentioned, you know, it just got better and better. The spring had gone. Spring, the fish are quite transitional. They move around a lot. You know, you're fishing lighter bait-wise. I am a lot more mobility. But come June, that's for me is sort of the feeding time, if you like. You know, it's around spawning, either pre or after spawning. I mean, after spawning, they feed like mad. But for the few weeks leading up, you can get good stuff going. And clearing spots on the bottom. I mean, particles are ideal for that. I've had some big hits in June and July by particle fishing. So St Ives Shallow Lagoon was probably the most memorable for me. Particle sort of attack in the summer. It was probably It was my second season on there. It was around the end of May, and the weed had got right up. Now, what happens at St Ives is come June time, a lot of the anglers sort of drift away. It gets very, very weedy, and that puts a lot of people off. So I decided, I'd got this attack on the second year, I was going to create my own 2 spots. Well, I tried to get 3 spots going, but it ended up with 2 main spots. And I was going to keep these clear. I was actually going to clear holes in the weed with particles. So what I ended up doing was taking up like huge buckets of particles. I did Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I'd take 2 for each day, and then put 2 in when I left. So it's a lot of particles. It's what you might call a monster amount of particles. Mixed particles, all sorts in there, of every different size. So a decent mixture, bits of hemp, bits of seed, larger stuff, tiger nuts. I was chopping up boilies and mixing there in there. So it was everything, all different items of all different sizes. I found a couple of harder areas. I still had weed on them, and I kept the bait going in, and I just kept baiting those same spots over and over. And it took no time at all. You know, within 2 baitings probably, you could tell the difference. You know, you could flick a lead out there on Braid where you can feel the bottom nicely. And instead of going down to, you know, sort of slodge onto the weed and pinging on the way down, it was just going crack as it was hitting them. They were only small areas. And over a 4-week period, the fish properly moved in. You could see them every morning fizzing out there, because, you know, that's key as well. You know, if we get back out there in the summery months, that first light, that's the time. That really is the time to get your bites. You know, you can chase them around all day, but where they go in the day isn't really relevant to where those big feeding areas are. You've got to watch the water at very first light and see where them fish are. And that's what I've done. I identified this area, kept the bait going in, and over a period of 4 weeks, well, it was just unbelievable. What I've done, I've put together, I videoed everything. I didn't tell anybody at the time. I called it, eventually I released the videos and called it the Secret Diaries. But I screwed my loaf, because if people know what's going on, they'd have been back. So I kept it all very, very low key. And over 4 weeks, I just caught every single morning. You know, I put out all this particle the night before, just spotting and spotting and spotting. I was covered in the stuff. Get up, you know, just as it's getting light, and you'd see the odd one stick its head out over your area, and then the old bobbins would start twitching, beep, 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 beep. You start getting the liners, and you think, they're down there. And it was like, it turned what was a very hard lake with very tricky fish into quite an easy little campaign, if you like. Over those 4 weeks, I can't remember how many, you know, I was getting 1 or 2 every morning. And it was all working towards this one big fish, you know, a fish called Colin, 50-pounder. Mid-50, and that was my target. But I put together this little sort of reel of video that you know, I've just got off my computer that I'd done at the time. So I'm going to show you just exactly the effect that particles can have on a lake if you get in at the right time, clear them holes in the weed, and have the confidence just to keep going until it works. Because when it works, it really does work, as you'll see. We love him. Oh, I love it when a plan comes together. Hello, mate. I hope that looks good. I hope it's all in focus, because I can't remember if I focused it now. I'm a bit excited. So this was weekly, you know. I just had so much footage in the end of me playing fish, landing fish, playing fish, landing fish. There was only one guy that actually knew what I was doing, and he was an angler. He was one of the bailiffs. But he used to walk round every day with his Belgian shepherds, and I'd got pads, you know, sheepdog at the time, and they got on really well. And he'd come and have a chat, and it was nice to tell someone. I was so excited about what was going on, so it was nice to share it with someone. But I asked him not to tell anyone, and fair play to him, he didn't tell a soul. So I was getting lots of messages as well. Any people knew I was up there, anything going on, anything coming out, and I was having to lie. You know, I was having to say, "Nah, it's quiet," but it wasn't. You know, I was catching. But I wanted to be able to do it the next week. I didn't want to turn up and there'd be someone in there, and I'd turn up the next week, there'd be no one there. I'd chuck them out, and it'd happen again. £34. What a beast. Oh, I love carp angling. So by the end of the third week on there, of this 4-week mad spell, by the end of the third session, I'd had, I don't know, a lot of fish, you know, a dozen fish or whatever. I'd had lots of the big known ones, like any lake, it's got its A team, but I'd also had a couple of rare ones, you know, ones that don't come out that often. It was just bringing everything to the party. When you get fish feeding like that in an area, everything else knows what's going on, and they want to be part of it. And I just knew that Colin would come along. He had to come along. Biggest fish in the lake. He's got a lot of eating to do to keep up with everything else. He couldn't resist that sort of a banquet. And I'd seen a fish a couple of times show, because he's very orange, Colin. And I'd seen this big orange fish poke his head out on a couple of occasions first thing in the morning. And I was sort of surprised I hadn't had him already, to be honest. But when I rocked up for that fourth session, it just looked blinding. You know, the lake looked bang on. There was even a breeze coming in. It'd been calm a lot of the time, but when the breeze came down, obviously anything else, that's going to bring all the fish down. You've already got this banquet area, you know, this big restaurant out there, permanently topped up with bait. So I started the session off, you know, by lugging. It was quite a long way from the motor, and I had to bring these big buckets of particles round, filled it in, got the rigs out there, and sort of settled in for the first morning of this fourth week.
slate grey, £35, 12 ounces. Big one at last.
I think that first day, the first morning in, I had 2, maybe even 3 fish. And I'd seen for definite Colin that first morning. It came sort of halfway out, big orange dish-shaped thing. I boshed over, right over one of my spots, over my right-hand spot, which was the better of the 2 spots, the clearer of the 2 spots. But both spots were fizzing, both spots were absolutely cooking. So you can imagine that second morning I was proper confident.
That'll be a bite then.
So there, eventually, yeah, after all of that, after 4 weeks of catching and keeping everything quiet and hoping I was working towards the right goal, I looked in the net and, oh my God, you know, it was a big ball of weed and everything, and I pulled the weed apart and I could just see this sort of peachy, pinky, orangey mass of carp flesh, and I knew I got him.
Baby, we've been waiting for you a long time. Get in there! I call Colin! Colleen, it should be, because she is definitely a she. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Here we go then. She's Come on, up you come. There she is. Colin. This year's obsession and last realised. Oh, God.
It's a bit heavy.
Oh, it's heavy, which is brilliant.
That's a proper one, mate. Get in there, my son. Well done. So pleased for you. You definitely deserve that.
So yeah, that was Colin. What a creature. What a creature. But like I say, don't be despondent. It's not the end of the world. It's not even yet as bad as a normal close season used to be. 3 months we used to have to wait every single year. 3 months. So, you know, whatever happens, I'm sure we'll be out there before we know it. Oh, I can't wait. I really can't. I've got everything ready. Like I say, I'm all spooled up. The tackle box is all cleaned out. You know, I've got my bait ordered. I've been working on a bit of a new mix that I want to use, particle mix. Boilies are in the freezer. All my pop-ups are soaking in dip. I'm pretty much ready to go, I reckon. And hopefully it won't be long. So next time we speak, I just pray it'll be from a bivvy, really, and not from an attic. There you go. So until that time, look after yourself, stay safe, stay at home, clean your gear, get ready, and I'll see you on the bank. Ta-da.